Okay, we are live. Good morning. We will just hang out here for a few moments to let people get signed on. If you're tuning in, just let us know where you're coming in from on the chat. Good morning, Jillian, Sarah. Let us know where you're from. Hello, Leah, Steph. Good morning. Good morning. Jillian on time. Yay. You're always here, so that's what we love. Let us know where you're tuning in from in the chat. Toronto is super great. Thanks for asking. We're super excited to have Ash here today. We don't have a ton of time, and he's going through a live demo with us, so I don't want to waste any more of that. We love an engaged chat, so post everything, your comments, questions, and we'll try to get to them if we can. So I will pass it off to you, Ash.
Thank you. Thanks, Janice. Hi, everyone. Thank you for joining. I see we have people from all over Canada, St. John's, Southern Ontario, Calgary, Edmonton. Oh my God, Toronto. Amazing. Love that. I'm very excited to present today. The topic is a little bit technical, so I hope I won't lose interest of anybody. But by the end, we are going to also give you a Google Sheet template that you can implement today, and it will be good to go. You can, start saving money. That's the whole point of this presentation, to give you enough knowledge and information so you can implement it from day one and start saving on your supermetrics subscription and own your data pipeline. So I'll start sharing my screen here. Okay, awesome. So again, today we're going to be talking about $0 alternative to supermetrics. We're going to be talking about how we can eliminate the middleman and own our data. And while doing that, we'll also be learning something new, which is Meta Marketing API. I hope you all will enjoy it. So let's get into it. So the reason why learning this would be, I think, really beneficial would be, let's say, if some of you are in, paid media side of things. This could be a really good starting point to get you into AI and MCP integrations, and also getting into the automation side of things, because we are going to be using not just Meta API, we're also going to be learning a little bit about Google Google Scripts, which is how we are going to be automating some of those things. There's also, again, strategic and financial value associated with it. We usually see agencies and organizations spend around 5K a year on tools like this. And while you do that, you also don't have control over, who is owning that data, because you have access to the platform, you have then access to the reporting platform, but then the middleman is where you lose control or you lose the ownership of the data. But then with this, you'll be able to gain that ownership back again. There's also continuous learning associated with it, which is my favorite part. I always love working on like a side project, whether it be associated with, any kind of new learning, learning any kind of new coding language, or you're working on any tool. We here at Clearmotive, we have an innovation department where we specifically just experiment with different tools and how we can automate things. And I have loved being part of that, and knowing all those like JavaScript, Python, SQL. It has been so rewarding and just so much fun being able to experiment all those things. So I hope you guys enjoy it as well. We won't get into Python and SQL, though. I'll try to keep it, just an introduction level, so that it's fun as well. So yeah, again, owning your data pipeline is also one of the advantages that you get these days. There's also a lot of moral and ethical alignment of values that we're seeing, or disalignment, where people are moving away from the big giants of like US tech, because of the de-googling yourself movement. And if there is a brand that doesn't align with your value, this gives you a little more freedom in order to be able to say no to that brand and just own the pipeline yourself. And you're also immune to any pricing changes. So these vendors can again make changes in a few days to whatever like pricing tier they have. But then if you know how to do this yourself, you are immune to those changes. You don't have to worry about what's happening in the market. And there's also so much more you can do, actually, because if you currently have subscription of supermetrics or any of those other tools, there are some metrics and dimensions that you have access to, but they're in the graph API. There's so much more that you can do. There's so much more that Meta already provides, but then this middleman supermetrics or any other alternative that you're using, they don't really give you access to those things, which again limits the ability of what you can present and how effectively you can present it. There's also, again, the middleman tax. You're paying $400 per month, but then, and it can also vary depending on how many connectors, how many ad accounts you have, and it can increase very rapidly. But then in this API structure or engineering structure that we have, we'll be using Meta API, which is free tool, Meta's Graph API, and we'll also be using Google Script, which is again a free to use tool. Anybody can use it. And we'll be removing the knowledge barrier, and that way we are able to do something fun and exciting at zero cost. Some of the things that we are going to be using here, we are not going to be using cloud storage today, just because of the timing and everything, but we will be looking at all of this and this here. We'll be using a direct API for connecting Meta endpoints, and then using Google Script to automate things. We will be storing data in Google Sheets instead of cloud, just a little more easier. And then we will be using Looker Studio. I think I should update it to Data Studio because they just updated the name. But yeah, so all of these are free cost, zero cost alternatives to whatever setup you have. But again, if you just want to use a different visualization tool, again, you have access to all this data, and then you can just connect it to your Google Sheets. Let's look at API structure. So if you're already familiar with Meta platform, or any other, like let's say even Google Ads, you know that let's look at, so there is nodes, there are edges, and there are fields. So look at it as a folder, subfolder, and within that subfolder you have files. So nodes it can be a campaign level, it can be an ad set level, it can be an ad level, but then edges differ depending on what node you have selected. So for example, for a campaign, we know that in Meta, you can't really set targeting or audiences on campaign level. So you won't have those edges available for a campaign node, but you will have those edges available and a lot more for ad set level. But then for ad, you'll have things like creative, you'll have a headline, URL, all that, but then you can't access those on campaign level. But then there are fields that can be accessed on a lot of nodes. So on campaign, you can still look at impressions, spend, all those things on campaign level, and same for ad set as well, and same for ads as well. So just again, depending on the way Meta structure is, you will be able to access particular edges and particular fields depending on what node you're using. I hope that was not too complicated. Again, some of the nodes that endpoints that you have access to are insights. Insights are basically where you can get insights or information about some of the very basics metrics that we usually look at. So things like spend, impressions, clicks, all that. And then you have custom audiences, which is again a little more um, in depth, because you won't have access to some of these metrics in supermetrics. But then if you want to report on, let's say a client says, okay, I want to look at what custom audiences we're using for this ad set, you don't have to go into the platform and copy and paste all that. And let's say you update something, and then you don't have to manually go in and update that. You can just go to this endpoint and it gets your audiences based on like whatever ad set or campaign level you're looking at. And then if you want to pull like headlines, primary text, whatever visualization, you'll go to add creative endpoint. And then we're also going to be looking at some of the other endpoints here in phase 2, depending on like if you're running lead ads or e-com ads. So yeah, before that, let's get into the setup. For setup, what you'll need to go to developers.facebook.com and then click get started. And with that, you will basically just be signing up for a developer account, meta developer account. The sign up is very easy. You just fill in your name, your detail, and again, there is zero cost at any point. You won't have to add your credit card information at any point throughout this process. So once you have the developer account, you can go to, I call this playground because there is a tool where you can run all of these queries within the browser. So it's called Graph Explorer. So if you want to, let's say, experiment any new queries, you can just run those here. These will stay just in the browser, so you can't really export the data, which is why we're going through all this setup, so you actually have access to the data when and where you need it. And then for more information, there are some resources where you can go to learn more about Graph API or other kind of APIs that Meta has available. One of the important steps after you have your developer accounts is to go to this link here, developers.facebook.com/apps. This is where you're going to be creating a new app. Don't worry, you're not going to be coding anything. An app is basically a sign up authentication endpoint. The only thing you're going to be, so once you click on create a new app, you will be basically just giving it a name and also giving it just a little bit of description, and that's it. There's your app. And with the app, you'll have access to two main things that we're going to be using, which is one is app ID or client ID, and then the other one is app secret or client secret. We'll get more into like where to get those information, and we'll be using that in our API calls. So very simple. You can say that I created a meta app. And okay, let's look at some of the different queries that we have here. So again, if you're running lead generation based campaigns, some of these can give you ideas on what some of the data that you can look at. Again, spend breakdown by region, age, gender, what kind of publisher platforms or placements, and then just basic click impression, all that. And then if you're running an e-commerce, you'll want to look at things like ROAS and all that. So these queries, again, just to get you started, to know what you can do, and then gives you more information on what each of them is about. And then again, some more about brand awareness campaigns and video campaigns, just to get you started. Then once we have that, we will be, once After this, we'll be looking at the Google Sheet, where it'll be a little more easy to understand, but I'll just talk about it for now. So for authentication purposes, you will need access token, but the general access token that we get is only 60 minutes, which is 1 hour, which lasts only for 1 hour, which is not very useful. So what we do is we use a long-lived token. The lifetime for that is actually 90 days, not 60 days. And that is very useful, so that you can just keep using it and update it after 3 months period. And also security warning: please don't share any of the client ID or app secret and all that information with anyone. So yeah, just keep that hidden. Don't share it in the AI platforms either. Just use a whatever placeholder value for that. And if you have any questions about that, let's look at also Google Sheets automation engine. What are we going to do with that? So basically, the role of Google Script here is, once you have that information in Google Sheet, what you want to do is you want to store it, and you want the information to update every day. So the updating part is going to be automated, and we're going to be running that using Google Sheet. So you'll just be adding this information like client account ID, token, all that there, so that it's available as a dynamic value for your queries to use. Again, how to access your Google App Script: you just go to Google Sheets, and then you go to extension and App Script, and then there you can access all of the scripts. This is usually what a Google script would look like. It's pretty close to JavaScript. So if you have worked with that, it'll be pretty easy to understand. I'll go into the actual sheet so that it's a little more easier to understand. I'm just going over this a little bit quicker because I feel like over there we'll be able to understand it a little bit better, the queries and the app script. So after that, we will be setting automated triggers for the script. Usually I recommend like 6 a.m., 7 a.m. in the morning, so that you have it ready by the time anybody wants to look at it. Again, some of the main features: you're saving costs, you have data ownership, and you have so many more available metrics that you usually don't get access to. And you can use your custom logics to update your data. If you want to use any naming conventions, all that, once you have your data, you can update it however you want. Then once you have that data, you can visualize it either in Looker Studio or any other tool of your choice. Then let's look at Google Sheets here. So this is the part where I feel like it'll be a little bit easier to understand. So this is our final query that we're going to be sending. So these queries are just URLs. So what you can do is just you can copy it and you can paste it in like a new browser here, and then this will work. But what you want here is, so this is basically a combination of all these things. So if you look at this cell here, it's concatenating, which is basically joining all of these cells here. And we have different parts. So this is just configuration details. Then we have some resources, and then how it works, like a little more detail about how this is actually working. So let's look at the configuration details. We have the root domain, which is graph.facebook.com, where we are sending this request. And then for the version, we're using v23, which is the latest version. And then the version can also update, but you can keep using the old version as well. But if you want access to the latest accounts or latest features, you want to keep it updated. And then ACT1234, this is just a placeholder value. So you can change it to whatever account number you want the details about. So You can get the client account when you go to business settings, and then add accounts, and then there in Meta you'll have access to like the actual account ID. And then for fields, we're looking at, for this query particularly, we're looking at insights, and within insights we're looking at campaign name, spend, clicks, impressions, reach, all these values. And for data, we're looking at just yesterday's data. Like I said, we're trying to keep the data very updated. So every day, 6 a.m., we're looking at the past day's performance and then extracting it. And then we are adding it to our main data storage, which is final here. So I'll show like how's that architectured as well. But for time increment basically means how much. So one means 1 day. And then for level, we're looking at ad level information. So if you look at just data here, this is again placeholders, so campaign 1, 2, 3. This will be your actual campaign names. And then we're looking at ad level data. So if you were looking at just campaign level, it'll be just campaign 1, 2, 3, and you won't have ad set and campaign and ad name. But again, you want the reporting to be a little more detailed so that you can look at how this ad performed and all that. So you can look at it also at account level or campaign level or ad set level. But here in this case, we're looking at ad level. And then this is limit. Limit is set at 50,000. So it's how many rows can you extract at one time on the first page. So we're extracting 50,000, but if you're extracting daily, it'll probably be like 500 rows at max, depending on, again, how many ads you have in your ad account. Then we have API secret proof. So what you'll be doing once you have your API secret proof, you'll just add it here. I'll go into details here, how to get those values. Also, you'll add your access token just here. And then once you have all this detail, your query will be complete. You can just copy it. And just if you want to test it, you can paste it in the browser here. And then it'll show you all the information in JSON format in your browser. So you know that it is working as it should. So some of the other details here, this is the date is just to have a reminder on when was the last time the 90-day token was updated, so you are up to date all the time. And after, once the date gets closer to 90 days window, you can update it. And then this is the link to GitHub repository for JSON format. So what we're doing here is, again, we're presenting the information in each cell and each column. But then here what we're using is we're using import JSON function, which you don't have access to by default in Google Sheets. So we're importing all this functionality by adding this into the script here. So this first one, this one here, this is all that script. This gives you access to be able to tell Google Sheets that, hey, the data that I'm getting from this endpoint is going to be in JSON format, and I want you to reformat it into a Google Sheets friendly format. So that's all. Now, how do you get client ID or app ID? Again, you go to this link, developers.facebook.com/apps. And then over there, you'll select your app. And then the app at the top will have the app ID. And then the second thing that we had here is app secret. Again, you go to the same app, and then you go to app settings, and then look at basic setting, and then there you'll have your app secret. So we have two things, app secret and app ID or client ID. And then how to get your access token. So for access token, what we're using is again, this. So you can just use it in your browser, but then for your app ID, you'll just replace whatever value you got from the app ID here. So whatever that value is, you'll just replace it with, let's say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, whatever. And then you put it in your browser, and it'll return you the value of your access token. So you can put that value here, equals to access token. And then you have, after access token, you have API secret proof. This is another value that you'll need. For that, you usually need a very, like, you have to send it in a hash format, and you need like a Python coded setup for that. But what I've done is I've created this app, this one-page app specifically just for this. So you can just add your app secret that you got in the second process. So you're here from your app settings. So you can add that here, and then the user token that we just got, and then it'll generate your app secret proof, and then you can copy it and you can paste it, app secret proof here. Okay, and this alone, after all this, you should be able to just make an API call, but obviously we want it to be 90 days token instead. So what we'll do is, again, fill in all this information in this one. So you have client ID, so you'll add your client ID here, your client secret here, and then your access token that we got here, you'll add that at the end. And then you have your 90 days token. So instead of the token that you were using earlier, you can use the 90 days token here for your calls. And you have everything you need. So let's look at the sheet, what we're doing here. So we have so whatever the final call is, it's going to be in this Z1 cell. And from there, what we're doing is we're running this script. So this script is initial trigger performance data. So it gets all the data. Every day we'll be setting up trigger for that, defining what time we want. But then this is the script that runs to ensure that you have latest data every day in here. And then once you have that data here, we're using formatting here so that our amount is in the format that we want it to be, and all the cells and all the columns are actually where they are supposed to be for our final here. And for final, we actually need to so the final is basically where you store all your data. The fact that you obviously don't want to have to come in every day and copy this and paste it here, so which is why we're using another script here, which is this one. This basically just copies all the data that you have in this worksheet, and then it appends it to the bottom of this. So it won't rewrite whatever data you have here. It'll just append at the end, like the last row, and it'll start from there. And for the next day, it'll add it here. Oh, excuse me. So yeah, that's what that'll do. For the first time when you start this, I'd recommend you go to the Google Sheet, and then you go to Click Extension, App Script, and then you update the ID here. So in this one and in this one, you have this ID. But again, if you're using, if you're copying this sheet, you'll have a new ID. So where do you get the ID? It's over here. So from after this D slash, and then like all of this. All of this is basically your sheet ID. So you copy this and then you put it here, and then you save it. And after that, I would recommend also just running it the first time, because it'll also need authorization from you. So you authorize the script so that it can run both of them. This one and this one. This one is just code that it lives there, so you don't have to do anything about this one. But you'll have to run this one and this one. But then after that, we obviously want it to triggered automatically at the morning time, 6 or 7 o'clock. So I have these triggers done already. But what this is basically you're selecting the function. the first function that we had in script was this one. So you select the function. This can stay head, and then you want a time driven, which will be a day timer. Let's say you want it to be 6 a.m. and then you have it saved. And then for the other one, you'll select the delayed copy. And then here we have selected 6 a.m. But for this one, since we don't get like 30 minutes fragments, what you can do is set this one to 7 a.m. So for the past one, it'll update the data to just yesterday's data. So you have your latest data, and we are putting this 1 hour gap to ensure that the data is the only updated data is copied. So we're updating the data first and then copying it to the final folder here. So yeah, this is basically all the setup. I know there's like so much that um, just I just rambled about. So I hope it wasn't too much, but we can go back to if you guys have any questions or anything else we want to discuss. I'll be sharing this sheet as well with you guys. Also, only the things in yellow are the ones that you need to update. So your account ID and then your secret proof and your access token. If you're not sure, like at any point, like how did you do that, or like what was the process, you can just reach out to me on LinkedIn, and I'll be more than happy to help. Yeah.
Thanks so much, Ash. Did you like create all of that yourself? Like, did you?
Yeah, actually the sheet that I have, it's a little more complicated. I mix and match quite a few other dimensions and metrics. We also look at like active ads, and also headlines and primary text. So there are probably like 15 of these, and then at the end you mix and match based on IDs.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a bit more complicated, but just to get us started, I kind of tried to keep it a little bit simple.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah,
Like,
and then
it's
this
so
app,
cool.
yeah, and then this app, I just created it yesterday because there was no place that you can actually get the app's secret proof.
Okay.
It would have required like you to download Cursor or some coding tool on your device and then use it, but then that would have been a huge complication, and just wanted to remove that.
That's awesome. I have Quinn. Sorry if I said your name wrong. Please let me know how to say it properly after this. But they're asking, do you have a version like to show us what it looks like when it's all like finished?
um, So for the data, I have client data, so I don't want to
Yeah, you
share
can share it.
any confidential data. But what it'll look like is basically you have this whole sheet populated by daily data. You have campaign name, ad set name. Again, you can mix and match and get so many other variables here, and yeah, you'll basically have all of this. And then you can add it to, if you're using Looker Studio, you can add it to that. All of these platforms, reporting platforms, have free Google Sheet integration. So pretty easy to use. Again, keeping that same free of cost $0
Yeah.
theme. Yeah.
Okay, I have a question.
Yeah.
Let's say you're a marketing conference with far too many social media channels.
Mhm.
Can you put them all into like one sheet, or would you do a separate one for each of the different accounts?
Yeah, I think I would do separate one for each of the account, and then what I'll do a function in the Google Sheet where you can uh, take all of these and put it into one sheet. So I'll have
Okay.
separate ones for to begin with, and then I don't remember what the actual formula is, but you can just access the information for like whichever other sheet. Um,
Yeah.
I think it's called hyperlink or something, but yeah.
Wow, that's crazy. That's so cool. Everyone's like, wow, this is so cool.
Thank you.
Well, thank you so much, Ash. Does anyone, if you have any other questions, throw them in here quick. We went a little over time, but that's okay. Yeah, if you have any final questions or thoughts, throw them in the chat there quick and we will try to get to them. But this is so cool. Like, you're so smart to have figured all this out. Leah's asking, where can we find the link for the template? I can send it out after.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll
Yep.
send it out in the DM here in the circle community afterwards.
Mhm.
And Jason said he is going to try this out this week.
Awesome. Let me know, Jason, how it goes. And if you're finding any difficulty accessing any of those values, I'll be happy to help.
Awesome. Okay, thanks so much for tuning in, everybody. We'll hope to see you next week. And thank you so much, Ash. This is awesome. I definitely want to hear how it goes when everyone tries it out. And I hope I can find some time to try it out too.
Well, thank you so much, everyone. Thank you
Thanks,
for your time.
everyone.
Really appreciate it.
Bye.
Bye-bye.